Good morning to everyone at today's public hearing of the Prosecutor Vetting Commission. My name is Christopher Lehman. I am the chairperson of the commission, and I declare this session to be open. Our commission was established under Law 252 on the external evaluation of judges and prosecutors. Article 22, paragraph 13 of that law provides that this commission will assess the candidates for the Superior Council of Prosecutors Selection and Evaluation Board according to the procedures and criteria regulated by Law 26, 2022 on measures related to the selection of candidates for the position of members in the self-administration bodies of the prosecutors. The hearing is being conducted under the Commission's Rules of Procedures for Evaluations under Law Number 26, 2022. The subject of today's hearing is Natalia Andronic, a candidate for the Superior Council of Prosecutors Selection and Evaluation Board. Good morning, Ms. Andronic, and welcome.
Good morning.
I'm joined at today's hearing by my colleagues from the far right, Nadezhda Hryptievsky, to my immediate right, Irmantas Mikalonis, to my far left, Cornel Lebedinsky, and to my immediate left, Saskia DeVries. Virginia Marraro, the Vice Chair of the Commission, is not participating in today's hearing. The Commission is also assisted by members of our Secretariat. The hearing is open to the public and members of the media. The hearing is being interpreted into both English and Romanian, and I would ask everyone to remember to speak slowly and clearly to assist the interpreters in their work. The proceedings are being recorded, and the recordings of the Commission's public hearings will be available online at the Commission's website within 3 days. That website is www.vettingmd.org. Ms. Andronic, during the hearing, one or more members of the Commission will ask questions to you. Please answer them truthfully and completely. Your explanations are important to the Commission in evaluating your financial and ethical integrity. In formulating our questions, we'll take into account your privacy as well as the privacy of family members and close persons. So we will try to leave out any unnecessary details relating to ID numbers, street addresses, bank account numbers, or things of that like. For your protection and privacy in answering questions, we'd ask that you also avoid going into specific detail about those items. At the end of the hearing, we'll give you an opportunity to make a final closing statement to the Commission. I'll start by briefly reviewing the evaluation process for Ms. Andronic. The Commission initiated its evaluation process on the 22nd of December, 2023 by notifying you by email and asking you to complete and return the 5-year declaration and the ethics questionnaire form. You did complete those documents in a timely fashion and return them to us on the 29th of December, 2023. As part of your evaluation of your ethical and financial integrity, the Commission also obtained information from other sources such as the National Integrity Authority, the State Fiscal Service, other public institutions, financial institutions, and open sources. The Commission assesses the information it obtains from these sources for relevance and reliability. We also sent you 3 rounds of follow-up questions on 11 April 2024, the 2nd of May 2024, and the 23rd of May 2024, to which you responded. On the 28th of May of 2024, we invited you to attend today's public hearing. At that time, we notified you of the topics to be addressed at the hearing today. Natalia Andronic, thank you again for appearing today. I will begin myself with just a few questions for you, and I ask you to respond in a complete and truthful manner. The first is whether you wish to make any additions or corrections to the materials that you have previously provided to the Commission's request for information.
Thank you, Chairperson Lehman. All of the information that I've already submitted is accurate, is true. There's nothing for me to add.
Thank you. And the second question, are the answers that you provided in December in your 5-year declaration and your ethics questionnaire, are those answers accurate and correct as of today in June 2024?
Yes, Chairperson, they continue to be accurate to this day.
Thank you very much. I am going to yield the floor to my colleague Saskia de Vries, who will follow up with additional questions. Thank you.
Good morning. My questions will focus on the bank accounts that you've had between 2012 and 2015. I have some general questions and then some specific questions, and then I also have a few questions over the period 2015-2021. But I'll start with the bank account. Between 2012 and 2015, you have had several accounts in different banks which were not declared in your asset declarations during those years. On questions from the Commission, you have replied that you did not declare these bank accounts because the money in the account was the money of your parents and not yours. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
The Commission has asked you to explain why you opened these bank accounts in Moldova, and you have answered that this was done because in Moldova the interest conditions on MDL were more favorable. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. I confirm.
My question to you is, the interest conditions in Moldova were more favorable compared to where? Compared to Spain?
My parents have looked up some information on the website of the National Bank of Moldova. So it's not like they compared it to Spain, but they saw that it was better to save the money or to deposit the money in MDL on the account, in a Moldovan account. So it was their decision, and I would just do whatever they would tell me to.
The first account which was opened at the Banca Sociala was a euro account. Why was the first account a euro account?
The first account was in euros, but it wasn't opened with an interest, so there was no interest related to that. That was just the first tranche that my parents, that they sent me, 10,000 euros, to put it in a bank account, and there was no interest related to that.
After a few months, this account, euro account, was closed, and then it became an MDL account. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
This account, there was we're talking about the Banca Sociala right now. This account, the one you opened, the MDL account, was closed in December 2013, and then you opened another account with the same bank. Why was that?
Well, after we sold the house that used to belong to my parents, and there were the 10,000 euros, so all of that amount, well, a decision was made to put all that amount on an account that we could gain interest from. And for 1 year, the interest rate was very good, more than 97,000 lei was the amount of the interest on the basis of that amount that we deposited to that account.
Thank you. In 2014, this account was closed, and then you took out all the money, and then I think we are talking about 720,000 MDL. You have explained in the written questions and answers how you spent this money. Are you able to reproduce what you've done with that money?
It was not my decision to take that money out from the account and to spend it. That was the decision of my parents. The money belonged to my parents exclusively. They decided to buy a car for my brother and a car for me. And there were some other expenses for the registration of the car, the casco insurance, and what was left, 15,000 euros, that was deposited with another bank. And then later that was transferred over to my parents to Spain, where they were living.
So, and the money which was left is about 15,000 euro, is that correct? After you...
Da, confirm.
Yes, I confirm.
Cars, et cetera, et cetera. It was moved to a different bank, the Victoria Bank. Why was the money moved to a different bank?
I can't remember the details of that now as to what we made that decision. Perhaps it was also related to the interest rate. But I wouldn't want to mislead the Commission, and I would rather say that I don't really remember what supported that decision, why that decision was made to move that to another bank.
You said before that you always acted on the instructions of your parents, because you say it was their money. Is that correct?
Da, exact.
Yes, precisely.
Was there a discussion between you and your parents what would be best or most practical?
Da, eu mereu eram în discuție cu mama
Yes,
mea.
I would always talk to my mother, and to this day she calls me a few times a day to ask me about how I'm doing, so I would always keep in touch with them.
I'm going to give you some dates on how the money moved through the bank accounts, and then we'll ask you some questions on this. I mentioned before that in February 2014, the Banca Sociala account was closed and the 15,000 money was taken out. And you said this is because, no, I'm asking you why. Why was the money taken out?
Ce am acționat cum mi-au spus părinții.
Well, I did what my parents told me to do.
So this is 18 February. On the 25th of February, so that's a week later, there is an account is opened with the Victoria Bank, and the 15,000 euro is put on this bank account. What was the reason?
Eu am spus.
Well, as I said, I can't remember precisely what the discussion with my mother was in this regard, but perhaps the interest rate for a euro account was better, was more favorable in Victoria Bank. And that's why the decision was made to put the money with Victoria Bank, because for a year the interest was about a bit more than 300 euros, as far as I can remember.
You remembered right. On 26th of August 2014, the account in the Victoria Bank was closed and the money was taken out, and there was about 375 euros interest added to it. So why was that account closed and why was the money taken out?
Banii ulterior au fost transmiși
Well,
părinților.
the money was later, in 2015, transferred to my parents, but they were put on a different account, still in Victoria Bank. Perhaps it's because the bank clerks, or maybe it was a current account, or the account that we opened later was a deposit account. So I really can't remember these details now.
A few days later, just a few days later, there is a new bank account opened with the Victoria Bank. This is on September 1, 2014. And then the money, the 15,000 euro, is again deposited in this bank account.
Da, corect.
Yes, that is correct.
E depozit
That was a deposit account,
pe un an de zile.
a one-year deposit account.
Creșterea,
That
eu nici nu
is,
puteam,
there would be an increase because we decided to put it on an account that we could not make any withdrawals from.
erau conturi unde
So
puteai
there were
să-ți faci, de
accounts
exemplu, dobânda,
where you would be able to
dar acel
take the
cont,
interest
nu era fără
and
posibilitatea de a
away,
face
but
dobândă.
that particular account was one where you couldn't take the interest rate at that moment it was being produced, so to speak.
Dar sunt tot aceiași 15.000.
But it's still the same 15,000 euros, so it's the same amount. It's the same 15,000.
Why is the money taken out of the account and then put into a new account? Why isn't the money being transferred from one bank account to another?
Eu acum nu țin minte exact.
No, well, now I can't remember precisely, but perhaps that was a current account. And then my parents decided to put that money on a deposit account without the possibility to make any withdrawals, or without the possibility to use that the interest rate for a year. So I didn't have the possibility to use that money in any way, or to use the interest rate.
On the next year, March 2, 2015, the bank account with the Victoria Bank is closed and the money is taken out again. And at that time, it's 15,269 euros, so there is some interest. Why was the account closed and the money taken out?
Da, părinții au decis.
My parents had decided, I mean, at the time they were already negotiating the procurement of a house in Spain, and they decided to close that account, and they decided that I should transfer the money to where they were living.
But on March 5th, the money is again put in another bank account, and then we are back at the Banca Sociala. Why was that?
Ca să nu-i țin eu în numerar. La mine.
So that I wouldn't keep it in cash at home.
Era un cont fără...
Well, as far as I can remember, that was an account now without an interest rate, just a current account.
On March 5th, this is the day that you deposit the bank with the Banca Sociala, so you move it from the Victoria Bank, you close that account, the money is in cash with you in your home, I presume. Is that correct? And on March 2015, you move it to a new bank, but on 5th of March 2015, is also the day that you filed your asset declaration. Is there a connection?
Nu, absolut.
There is no connection between these at all.
You have, and now I'm still following the money, you withdrew the 15,000 euros in June 2015, and you have explained that this is because the money needed to be transferred to your parents in Spain because they bought the apartment. Is that correct?
Corect.
Yes,
Your parents did have a bank account in Spain, is that correct?
Probabil că mama mea
yes,
avea-
perhaps because my mother was working officially.
Do you know this or you don't know it, if they have a bank account? Have you ever heard or did she tell you?
Eu știu că ea avea
I know that she
card
had a bank card,
bancar nu se deschide fără cont.
and you can't have a bank card without having an account in the bank.
Eu știam
So
că ea
I
primește banii
knew
pe un
she
card bancar.
was receiving her money on a bank card.
So the question is, why was all the money put on a bank or several banks in Moldova and not in Spain? Do you know what the reasons for your parents were to move the money to Moldova?
În 2007, părinții când
In
au plecat, a
2007,
fost
when my parents
decizie
left, a decision was made
rapidă, adică au fost unele
quickly in this
circumstanțe
regard. So they
familiale
made
și
this
au
decision
fost nevoiți
in a
să plece.
haste. There were some family situations and they
Întotdeauna
had to go.
vroiau să se întoarcă
But they were
înapoi în
always
Moldova.
thinking about returning back to Moldova. So
Nu știu,
I don't
nici nu se gândeau
know.
acum
They
să
were not
fie
even
careva
thinking about
acolo.
keeping anything on
Decizia lor era
accounts
să
there.
transfere mie în bancă
Their decision was to transfer the money to me here and for me to
să le plaseze în
for me to put that
să
money
deschid conturile bancare.
on bank
Dar
accounts.
deja când au trecut
However, when in
2015,
2015, when they,
trecut ceva timp,
after a while
ei deja au hotărât să
spent
cumpere
there, they had decided
domiciliu.
to purchase a place of their own to stay there, real estate in Spain. So that's the explanation that I have.
And I'm going back in time. In October 2012, when you already had the bank accounts with Banca Sociala, you received, or you deposited in that first bank account about 26,000 euros. And you have given explanation for the origins of this money. And one of the origin is that you stated that you have received money from your parents between 2008 and 2010 and that you have kept that in your house until it was deposited in the bank. Is that correct?
Da, este corect.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. Now the question is, why did you keep this money, so this was between 2008 and 2012, why did you keep this money in cash in your house and why did you not put it on a bank account?
Deci, după comunicările pe care le aveam mai des cu mama mea și doar...
Given the discussions that I had with my mother, as she was practically the only one working, well, she told me to do it that way.
Să acumuleze o sumă oarecare și după asta
We were thinking to save or to have a bigger amount, and then we would figure out what to do with the money. And all the transfers I was receiving from my mother, all that information was already submitted to the commission. She had transferred to me money by bank only and by no other means. So the money was theirs, and they were deciding on their own what to do and how to do it. All I was doing, as their daughter living here in Moldova, I would only do what they would tell me to.
So one part of the money that you deposited in 2012 was the money you had received, and the other part of the money was the money from the sale of a house and a plot of land.
Yes, that is correct. There was my parents' house where they used to live, and another a commercial asset.
Yes. So it was this was real estate from your parents, but it was donated to you in 2011. Is that correct?
They were donated, that is, the house of the parents was donated so that I would make, so that I would later sell those assets. I was supposed to obtain some cadastre certificates, and for me to avoid having to ask for a power of attorney from my parents, and without having to go through that, a decision was made for the assets to be donated hypothetically to me, but it was not myself managing actually those assets. They were the assets of my parents that they worked for and that they've had for years.
So the real estate was in your name to make it easier to sell it.
Correct.
And the proceeds of the house you have also put in the bank account in Banca Sociale, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
I'm looking at my colleagues if there are any questions.
Good morning, Madam Prosecutor. I just have a few follow-up questions. One of them is, who was ultimately the beneficiary of the interests in those interest related to those deposits in the banks? There was 300-something euros, and then were you the beneficiary, or was that added up to the amount of your parents that was then transferred to them to be able to buy the apartment in Spain? Well, you mean the 15,000 euros? I mean the interest from that 15,000 euro deposit, and there were other deposits that you've made with interest, so what happened to that? Well, the first deposit with the Banca Sociale, and the interest that I've already mentioned was about 97,000 lei. That was the money of my parents. I did not have access to that. Now, later, when the final amount was withdrawn, more than 700,000 lei, they decided, as I said, to buy a car for me, a car for my brother, and what was left was the 15,000 euros. Now, later, the 15,000 euros related interest, I think, yes, well, my mom said that I could use it because I had transferred them 15,000 euros only. And then in your declarations of assets and personal interest, did you declare there this interest as income earned by you? I did not. I admit that I didn't. I only declared after the National Integrity Commission carried out a verification in 2016. In that declaration, I declared it. And then I have another question with regards to what you said, that in order to avoid having all of this paperwork, powers of attorney on your name, you decided to use the donation option. But legally speaking, donation is the equivalent of a sale and purchase agreement, or can be equal to that. So that is, they transfer to you not only the right of use, but also practically the rights of ownership are transferred to you too. So automatically the sources, legally speaking, or the proceeds, rather, the proceeds that you earn from the sale of that real estate, that cannot be then treated as proceeds belonging to your parents, but legally that is your income, that is your money, that are your proceeds. So then these proceeds that you've obtained out of the sale of that real estate, did you declare that in your declaration of assets and personal interests? Yes, in the 2012 declaration, I declared the sale and purchase agreements. And do you remember what was the value that was put down in the donation agreement, whereby you were donated the house, those assets? That was, well, the value was the one that the cadastral authorities told us that the value was of that asset. And did you declare with the tax authorities after you sold the asset? Did you declare the capital gain, or did you, in the sales and purchase agreements, did you also put the cadastral value? Yes, we put down in the sales and purchase agreement the cadastral value may be just a little bit bigger by a few thousand euros. How many, these few thousand euros, which is the difference, did you declare that as capital gain with the tax authorities? In 2012, there was a particular value established by the cadastral authority, but when I sold it, there was a different one already, so there was a different price. I understand. Well, I will reword my question. Well, this transaction, was it declared with the tax authorities when you filed your declaration, your annual declaration? No. Thank you. No other questions.
I'll move to the next topic, and that is the non-declaration of the Banca Sociale and Victoria Bank accounts. I think we already discussed it, and you have already stated in your questions, but also today, that you have not declared these bank accounts in your annual declarations. Is that correct?
Da, corect. Eu nu am declarat niciun cont bancar.
Yes, correct. I did not declare any bank account, though after the audit or control by the National Integrity Commission, they found that myself and my husband, we had 15 bank accounts, of which 8 had zero turnover. These were accounts open to receive child benefits. So I thought that these accounts were closed by the bank, but afterwards we found out that I had to go myself to the bank and close them.
I'll come back to that investigation. You have written to the Commission, but you've also said it today, that you received money from your parents to buy a car, correct?
Da.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is the amount of 12,300 euros. Is that correct? Yeah.
Corect.
Did you declare this gift from your parents as a donation in your annual declaration?
Deci, eu am declarat
I
mașina.
declared the car.
Intenția lor era
Their
să-mi
intention was
cumpere o mașină.
to buy
Dar nu
a car
să
for
doneze
me.
bani pentru
but not to donate money so that I would buy the car myself. In 2014, when I bought the car, I declared it.
Mobil.
But you did not declare the gift of your parents was the money. That you did not declare.
Eu nu am declarat banii
I
deoarece
did
banii
not
propriu-zis nu
declare
i-am
the
primit.
money because I did not receive the money itself. Their intention was for them to give me the car as a gift. They did not tell me, I will give you this amount and go and buy a car.
Noi vrem să-ți
They
luăm
said,
mașină,
we
ție și
want
frate.
to take a car for you and for your brother.
Am declarat doar
I declared only the car.
Thank you. You mentioned the investigation in 2016 by the NIC, and there is a whole
corect.
document in the file, and you know this document, of course, in which the NIC makes a list of the things that you should have declared and you did not declare. So I will not go over the whole list because it's quite a lot. Do you agree with the conclusions of the NIC on what you should have declared and you did not declare?
Parțial sunt de acord.
I partially agree.
Actul în cauză a fost contestat.
The statement was challenged by me in the court.
Deci eu m-am conformat.
I complied. I admit that I did not declare all of the bank accounts. I admit that. And if I had the power to turn time back, I would have declared them for sure, even irrespective of whether the money was mine or not mine. But back then in 2012, 2014, this was the first stage when we would prepare the declaration of wealth and interests. Many people did not know what to declare, how much. We have always contacted the representatives of the National Integrity Commission. We would ask them what to declare, how to declare it. But for sure, if I had the possibility to travel back in time in 2012, 2014, I would have declared them.
I did read that you started a procedure to fight the decision of the NIC, but my understanding, but please correct me, is that the reason why you started the procedure was because the NIC wanted to send your file to the prosecutor's office. Is that correct?
I challenged this statement because I believed it was unlawful. But point 2 of the statement was to send the case to the Anti-Corruption Prosecution Office for further investigation.
And in your name, there's also, let me find it. In your name, there is a notification that there was a case with the prosecutor's office, but it was dismissed. Is that this case? Is this about the NIC declaration?
Da, este un proces penal.
Yes, there is a criminal case, and then they refused to start the criminal investigation. I have attached the relevant document to the Commission.
Thank you. Questions on the car or the NIC?
May I give the questions?
Sure.
One more question for clarification. You've said that the statement of facts issued by the National Integrity Authority was accepted partially by you, and you at the same time challenged it on grounds of being unlawful. Could you please tell us, have you challenged it on the merits or on the basis of procedures? And the second question, with what part you agree and what part of the statement you disagree with, so that the Commission understands better your position with regards to that statement? So I challenged it both on the merits and for the procedural aspects. After I won the case, the National Integrity Commission appealed the decision of the first instance court in the Court of Appeals, and the Court of Appeals upheld the decision of the first instance court. Regarding this statement, I repeat, I assume the responsibility for my failure to declare the banking accounts, which I should have declared. And as I've said, if I have the possibility to go back in time, I would have corrected this mistake. And again, for clarification, regarding the non-declaration of sources for the procurement of the car, who was the main buyer indicated in the sales purchase contract for the vehicle that you declared that was a donation by your parents? In the contract, is it you indicated as a buyer or your parents? The purchase sales contract was concluded with my husband. So your husband is indicated as the buyer? Yes, legally. So the actual beneficiary is your family. And your husband, what was the source of funds used by your husband to buy the car? This was the money of my parents. So the parents sent the money to your husband or to you? No, I gave the money to my husband because my parents were abroad. Okay, I understand your line of ideas, but again, from the legal point of view, it seems that the parents gave you as a donation the money, not the car. With the intention, we do not discuss about the intention, but how do you think? Did you have to declare in your declaration of wealth and personal interest the fact that you received a certain amount of money from your parents as a transfer or donation? Nevertheless, their intention was to buy the car, not to give the money to me. Thank you. Thank you for your answer.
Now I'm going back to the NIC document because you answered my colleague that you fought the statement also on the merits. Now I'm going to sum up what the NIC has put in as what you should have declared. That's 2 money transfers of a total of 600 euros. Do you think you should have declared it, or do you think not?
Back then, when we asked in 2012, when we asked the National Integrity Commission if bank transfers should be indicated, the answer was no. Afterwards, after several years, in about 2016, they said that the bank transfers should be indicated as other sources. And then I complied and indicated them, included them, if you check all of my declarations of wealth. I'm sorry, but have you communicated with the National Integrity Center verbally? Yes, by phone.
The next item which the NIC thinks you should have declared is the income from the bank accounts. That's the interest. Do you agree with the NIC or do you think they are wrong?
Eu consideram că dacă banii nu
I
sunt ai
thought
mei,
that
nu
as long
trebuie
as
să
money
fie
does
bugetul
not
meu.
belong to me,
Nu
I did
trebuie
not
să-
manage them, I shouldn't have declared the interests
Unicul
as
lucru
well.
cu care eu sunt
The
de acord
only
cu
thing
Marta, că
I
trebuie să
agree
indic
from that
că
statement is that
contul
I
bancar.
should have indicated the bank accounts.
So also the dwelling rooms, which are listed in the statement of the NIC, do you think you should have declared them or not?
Spațiul locativ aparținea soțului.
The dwelling
Și
space
atunci,
belonged to my
dacă
husband.
declara unul din soți,
So if one of the spouse declared it, then the other spouse did not have the obligation to declare it. And that asset was obtained by him before marriage. It was his private property. He privatized that room in the dormitory.
And then there's the 15 bank accounts, but you agree that those should have been declared. So we will not go into that. And then there's also the issue of some shares in a company, which also was not declared. Do you think that the NIC is right here, or do you disagree?
Nici n-am știut de existența
I was not aware of the existence of these 128 shares that my husband owned with face value of 1 leu. So I was unaware of them until the National Integrity Commission made the investigation.
Thank you. Then I would like to mention some items which came up during the questions. There's been a second report on the NIC on 2021, and this is on the value of your apartment. And you have put in the value of the outstanding mortgage and not the price you paid for the document. Is that correct?
Corect.
Yes, correct.
But you did put the market value in there. You put the market value, you used the right price. So it's in there.
Este.
Then there is the issue because you received donations from your family members. These are your parents and your brother, I think, over the period 2016-2022. You have not declared them as donations, but as bank transfers. Can you explain why?
Fiind consultate Autoritatea Națională de
I
Integritate,
consulted the National Integrity Authority, and they told us to declare them as other sources, as proceeds from other sources, and I did that.
And then the final item on the list is that you did not declare the house of your husband over the period of time of 2012-2014.
Este o cameră în cămin de 8 metri
It's a room in a dormitory of 8 square meters. This it was privatized by him, and he was declaring it in his declaration.
Thank you. I have no more questions. Don't know if my colleagues.
Could you clarify to the Commission what was the source of incomes of your parents starting from 2007?
Sursa veniturilor era salariul
The
mamei.
source of funds was the salary earned by my mother.
Could you provide any amounts of income of your mother? What was salary approximately of your mother?
Eu am prezentat
I
comisiei
submitted
și
to the Commission
raportul de activitate a
the
mamei mele,
report
stagiul de muncă și
on my
contractul de
mother's
muncă
work,
și
the employment contracts, the taxes that she paid in the state where she worked.
Nu mi spunea ea cât primea
Well, she wouldn't tell me
de la 1500
how much she earned, but it was somewhere in the range from 1,500 to 2,000 euro.
Dar sunt documente.
But you have documents,
Rolajele bancare
and you also have the bank turnovers. I submitted it to the Commission.
And all these incomes of your mother were from Spain, in Spain. It is
Da,
correct?
corect.
That's correct.
Are there any other questions on any matters from the commission? Thank you, Ms. Andronic, for being here with us today and taking the time to answer our questions in detail. I'd like to give you the opportunity to make a brief, or not so brief, closing statement at this time.
Da, mulțumesc.
Thank you,
Stimate președinte.
esteemed chairperson.
Dacă să mă întorc iarăși la
So if I would
nedeclararea acestor conturi
return to
bancare,
the issue of non-declaration of bank accounts, I recognize, I admit in front of the Commission that indeed I should have declared them, irrespective of the fact whether the money was mine or not, because the account was opened on my name.
la anii când am
So,
început să depunem declarații de avere și interes 2000.
in the first years when we started to submit the declarations of wealth and interest in 2012, I would have declared them if I had the chance to go back in time. For me, this whole process of declaring the assets was quite complex. So it was both easy and complicated at the same time. It was easy because during my career, during my personal life, I have always followed, adhered to the principles of honesty and accuracy. On the other hand, it was complicated because when the evaluated procedure started, this is a psychological pressure, but I believe I've managed to handle it. I was totally open to the Commission. I submitted all of the requested documents. I provided frank answers to all of the questions addressed by the Commission in order to facilitate the evaluation process. I would like to thank the Secretariat of the Commission for their work, and in the end, I would like to wish peace and health to everyone. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for your participation in the evaluation process and at the hearing today. The Commission will now deliberate on the matter and issue a decision as soon as possible, and so I'll declare the hearing is closed. Thank you.